Emire. And in Armenian culture, there are two superstitions around food. These are things that parents usually tell their kids when they're young. If you don't finish all your food, your brain is gonna go to someone else. And the other is, if you don't finish all your food, the person you marry is gonna be ugly. A lot of the Armenian diaspora come from war-torn countries. You know, they didn't have a lot of food, and to tell a kid, you better eat all your food now because it might not be there tomorrow. Generations and generations of parents have been saying it to their kids, and it's a superstition we all believe.
I'm Ryan from Australia, and we have a superstition here that if you eat the crust from your bread, you will get curly hair. Now, I definitely heard this when I was younger, growing up in primary school. A teacher once said this to me. I heard kids talking about it, but I did eat the crust from my bread, and as you can tell, it works out very well for me.
I'm JP. In Chile, we have a superstition that says if you eat 12 teaspoons full of lentils like right before midnight on New Year's Eve, it will bring you good luck for the upcoming year. I heard this from my grandmother growing up, and we used to do this like every year, but not anymore.
I'm Evelyn. I grew up in China. My dad told me that grandma used to tell him when he was young that children shouldn't eat fish rolls because if you eat too many of them, you'll be bad at math. Simply because there are too many fish rolls, you can never count them correctly. I'm glad I wasn't told this when I was young, so I still eat fish rolls.
Hey, I'm 10 and my family comes from Guyana. There is a creature in Guyanese folklore known as Ol Haig. So Ol Haig is a kind of a vampire. So during the day, she seems like an ordinary old woman, but at night, she can take her skin off and then she can assume the form of a ball of fire. She travels through the air in a ball of fire, looking to get into people's homes via a keyhole, and then she will suck your blood while you're sleeping. You just wake up the next day and then you got, marks on you. Apparently the Ol Haig is compelled to count things. If on your doorstep you spill a whole bunch of rice, when she gets to your house and she sees it, she will have to stop and count it. She'll be compelled. She got a problem. She'll be sitting there, just counting grains of rice until the sun rises. And I don't think Ol Haig is like a regular vampire where she's gonna die by being exposed to the sun. But then if she's there counting till the morning, then the homeowner opens the door in the morning, sees this Ol Haig counting grains, and then you can just be like, get the f out of my house.
Hi, this is Helen, and I grew up in Hong Kong. One of the superstitions that we have is 切蛋糕唔可以切到底. That means you can't cut your birthday cakes all the way to the bottom, otherwise you won't be able to get married. I think it comes from the idiom 一刀兩斷, which means you use a knife and it separates into two ways. It's obviously a superstition, but it's just really fun to yell at birthday parties, warning people not to cut their cakes all the way to the bottom.
My name is Ragnhildur and I'm from Iceland. And in Iceland we have this superstition where if someone's moving into a new home, then the most important thing to bring first into the home is bread and salt. You need salt because you need salt for your porridge, which is basically a symbolism for humble luxuries that make life more bearable, like sugar in your tea, for example. And bread is important because that symbolizes that you will never run out of food. It's a tradition that's been going on for a long time, and people still do this today, myself included.
I am Aniket from India, and here we have a small superstition where moms give you a spoonful of curd and sugar to eat right before you head out to do important tasks like write an exam or go for a job interview. It's supposed to bring you good luck and it's considered auspicious.
I'm Tanya, and in Indonesia, we have a superstition where if you eat by the doorway, it may be difficult for you to find your other half in the future. This superstition has been passed down through generations. It is well known in the Indonesian culture.
I'm Chelsea, and in the Jewish culture and tradition, there is a superstition around salt, specifically when moving into someone's house. It's customary to put salt in the corners of the room or in your pockets to ward off demonic or evil spirits. In some cases, back in the day, people would be paid to live in your house to ward off those spirits before you came, and then the transition ended up being salt. So I first heard about this superstition from my dad, who was a logical person with a law degree, but also very spiritual and superstitious. So there was definitely salt in our house.
Io sono Jess. I'm Jess. I grew up in a Sicilian family, and one of our food superstitions was if you placed the bread upside down on the table, the devil would enter your house. And I didn't really know the origin, so I asked my friend in Rome, and she said, that it has to do with Catholicism. In Mass, you receive the body of Christ in the form of bread. So basically, if you abuse the bread in any way as it's on the table, it's an abuse to Christ. So the devil will get you. Watch out.
Hi, my name is Joanne. I'm Taiwanese American, but there are a lot of Japanese influences within Taiwanese culture. And one of them is to eat tonkatsu or katsudon, which is basically pork cutlet, before a school exam or a major event. So I believe it's because katsu sounds very similar to the Japanese word for winning. And as an example, more recently, I got my wisdom teeth pulled out, and my family and we all ate tonkatsu the night before my operation for good luck.
Hi, my name is Jay, and I'm from Korea. In Korea, we have a long-standing superstition that goes back as far as 100 years to Joseon era. The superstition is eating 찹쌀떡, which is rice cake with sweet bean paste in it, or 엿, which is sweet and sticky candy like taffy, before an exam. The reason is since they're sticky, they symbolize sticking or passing their exams. So you will see friends and family giving these to students taking a college entrance exam to help them pass or stick to their college of choice.
I'm just from Mexico, and in here we don't pass the salt hand to hand because it means receiving the bad luck from the other person. So if you need the salt and you are in a table, you have to wait for the other person to put the salt in the table and then you can take it. I learned this from my mother and she learned this from her mother. And I think it's something that every Mexican family has learned between generations.
I'm Angel, and my grandma's from Nicaragua, and when we were growing up, she used to tell us that if we didn't eat our chicken, we would get lice. And I don't know where that came from. I feel like that's not a Nicaragua thing. I feel like my grandma was just like a little quirky. And so there was this little girl who my mom used to babysit, and she actually accidentally gave her lice at one point. I remember being a child and like being like, oh my gosh, that wouldn't happen to you if you ate your chicken. And I don't know, it's just a weird thing that we were told growing up. Needless to say, I have been eating my chicken, so yeah.
I'm Ada, I'm Nigerian, and my great grandma never liked us washing the dishes in the evening because when the spirits would come at night and realize that there was no food, they would eat you. So yeah, that is either leave food out for your spirits or just don't do your dishes in the evening. Only do them in the morning or when there's daylight so the spirits can't get you.
My name is Russell, and my Filipino parents taught me a superstition called ikot plato. And what that loosely translates into is turn your plate. Basically what happens is if you're at the dinner table with your family and somebody leaves the house, you have to ikot your plato or turn your plate. And that is supposed to wish the person who left the house some good luck, make sure that they're safe and they return home in one piece.
My name is Katie and I'm from Poland. One of the folk tradition that we have is apple peeling. You peel an apple in a circular movement, keeping the skin of an apple as one long piece. That piece, when laid down, should form a letter, and that letter would be an initial of your future wife's or husband's name.
I'm Jasmine, and in Taiwan we have a superstition that says the number of grains of rice you leave behind in your bowl is the number of pimples the person you'll marry will have. I heard this growing up all the time, and I still say it to my friends when I see that they haven't finished their food. I'm pretty sure it just was supposed to make kids finish their food and not waste it, but I still live by it, and that's probably why I can't stop eating.
My name is Sean, and in Hawaii we have a superstition where you're not supposed to bring pork through the pali. So we have Pele. The Pele is the goddess of fires and volcanoes. She has a very fiery personality. And then we have her lover, Kamapua'a, who was half man, half pig. And their relationship was very rocky. And it got so bad to the point where Kamapua'a was chased out by Pele and he had to reside on another part of the island. So when you have pork and you're bringing it through the pali, it symbolizes Kamapua'a going from his part of the island onto Pele's. And as the goddess of fire and volcanoes, we don't piss Pele off straight up. Because when you do, your car breaks down, your car has issues, and Pele might show up, and we don't want another island, we don't need another volcano.
I'm Laura. In the US, we have a superstition that if kids drink coffee, it'll stunt their growth. It apparently comes from a smear campaign by a competitor who wanted kids to drink caffeine-free products in the 1800s. I really believed it. I started chugging coffee at 11 because I was already 5'10".
I'm Dallin, and in the southern United States, we had a superstition that you're supposed to eat black-eyed peas on New Year's. A lot of people would say that it would bring good luck or prosperity for the upcoming year. It's probably just folklore, but there was always a pot out for lunch and Russian dinner on New Year's Day?
My name is Katya. I am an immigrant from the USSR. I guess it's Ukraine now, but I am culturally Russian. And we have a superstition / tradition where before you leave a party or a dinner, you're supposed to take a shot for the road. And it's something that the host insists that guests do before they leave. I have suspicions it's to kind of keep you warm for that like cold Siberian winter, but I've also heard of people taking the shot on like a walking stick, and if you can't accomplish that, then you're gonna have an unlucky journey home, so you have to stay. So there's like some speculation that it was like an old school like breathalyzer sort of like sobriety test or something.
Hey, I'm Nicole, and in Vietnam we have a superstition that the further away you hold your chopsticks from the bottom of the chopstick is how far away you'll live from your parents' house. So I have my chopsticks like this. I'm 45 minutes away from my parents' house and I have no clue how it's measured, but that's the superstition.